Housekeeping. Okay. Oh, it is on. All right. Welcome everyone. We are. It's Wednesday night, and the year is coming to an end. Tufshin Pei Daled. Obviously, been a very difficult year for the Klal Yisrael, and here we are. It is Parshas Tavo. We say Tichle Shana v'Kulosecha. Part of the kavanah is that the year should end with its curses. Is that we read these curses in this week's parsha, and that should be done with. No more of this. We should start at V'Tachel Shana v'Chesecha, and the year should begin with its blessings. So anyway, it says V'Hoya Ki Savo, and it will be when you come into the land, all the laws about the bringing of the first fruits to the priest in the temple. But we like to learn the Hasidic homilies of the Holy Rebbe Elimelech from Lezhensk, Zchusi Geleinu Melech Yisrael Amen, and the Holy Sefer Noam Elimelech. And so let's learn. So his comments here in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 26, and it will be when you come into the land near Lefarish. It appears that we could explain as follows: Dehine, because behold, Yeshnei Madregas Tzadikim. This is a common refrain in the Noam Elimelech, is that there are two different levels of saints, of tzaddikim, two different psychological Jungian archetypes. Yesh tzadik oived Hashem yira kol yemei sachoil. There's one type of a tzaddik, one type of a saint, who worships the Lord out of fear and piety all the days of the week. But when the Holy Sabbath comes, then he adds a higher level of holiness, that he worships God out of love. Because the archetype of the Sabbath is the archetype of love. And so this level of saint, which is a lower level of a saint, of a tzaddik, comes to this level of love, to that archetype. But there's another type of tzaddik, another type of saint, that even in the weekdays worships the Lord out of love. And this type of tzaddik, this type of saint, is called the Sabbath. This is cited in the Holy Zohar, the Book of Illumination, the great Kabbalistic homily on the Pentateuch, where it says Talmud Chochem Nikra Shabbos, that a Torah scholar, a disciple of the sages, is called Sabbath. It's called Shabbos. Why? Because the Sabbath is the archetype of love. And this higher level of saint is constantly on this level of this archetype, and that's why he is also called by the appellation of the Sabbath. This is what our sages taught. Anyone who brings delight to the Sabbath is given to him a heritage without any boundaries. So, what does it mean? We understand this. The simple meaning is that you enjoy the Sabbath, you eat good food, you drink good drinks, you have fun, you enjoy time with your family. But there's a deeper homiletical understanding of this Talmudic dictum. It means to say that the tzaddik, the saint who is constantly in the archetype of love, that he rejoices together with the Sabbath, that he finds that archetype of the Sabbath, and they enjoy each other. because he's constantly within that archetype of the Sabbath, just like the Sabbath of the because he's in the archetype of love, just like the Sabbath is in the archetype of love. And therefore he is given a heritage. Maybe I should send this to Marion Williamson. Sometimes she notices my tweets, so we'll see. What she's not the only former presidential candidate that we sometimes tweet to from our Twitter account at twitter.com, which X is still twitter.com, by the way, right? Because she had the book about love. I know my wife really liked that book. She said she read it back in the day before her conversion. And so anyway, I know she's a Yiddish kind, so she's Jewish herself, so maybe she could chop some aspilas from a Chassidish Torah. So anyway, let's see, because it's all about love, right? Anyway, Noisnim Lei Nachla is given a heritage. It's a Loimer Nachal Hashem, or Nachal Hey, I'm not sure. There's actually a Nachal Hey, okay. It's good. It's good to be the king. It's good to have English here. Who knows if the translation? I've seen some pretty lousy translations on Sfaria, though. So, because we learn with the Chevra, we have a little Chabura that we learn Shulchan Aruch and Torah, and I looked at the Shulchan Aruch, and I was not impressed by one of the community translations of the Shulchan Aruch. Anywho, when Nachal Elyon, the Nachal Hey means the stream of the letter H, of the Hebrew letter H, which is the supernal stream, could be a stream of consciousness. Asher Misham Moshe Chetzadik Hashem L'Yisrael, and from there the saint draws down the blessings, which include material blessings, in this prosperity teaching to the Israelites, and through that to the whole world, because all the families there are blessed through the seed of Abraham. All of this is archetypical, psychological, and mystical. So let's go weiter. And this is the Metzinu B'Eliyahu Noviza. This is what we find with Elijah the prophet. Zeichel Tov, may his memory be good. For good. V'yeshav v'nachal Chris, v'arvim avim le'lechem. That Elijah, it says in the book of Kings, in the Bible, that Elijah sat by the stream that's called Kerith, and the ravens brought him bread. Some say it's not ravens, some say it was Orebites, people from a town called Oreb. I think there is such a town mentioned in Tanakh. So, Orvim could mean one or the other. Either the Orebites, people from a town called Oreb, brought him bread, or the way it's generally translated is the ravens brought him bread. Nevermore. Anyway, L'choira, is this moving? Where? L'choira lama b'char Hashem ba'orvim. So, the Elimelech is understanding this as most understand it, that it's ravens. Birds brought him food. So the question would be, why, of all the birds, should the Lord choose the ravens, which are an unclean bird, a non-kosher bird? And why are they not kosher? Shemachzorim al b'neihem shem. The reason that they're unclean, in addition to that they're birds of prey, technically, is that they are cruel to their children. Other birds, supposedly, in the archetype and this homiletical teaching, that the raven is, I don't know, I'm not an ornithologist, I don't know if this is true, but in any event, within the psychological and religious archetype of the raven, it's understood that ravens are unlike other birds. Other birds care for their young, but ravens are very cruel to their young. Again, maybe Orev means something else. Doesn't necessarily. All these translations of the different species of birds in the Bible are not all necessarily. Ain't necessarily the birds that you're liable to read in the Bible. They ain't necessarily so. Right? Meaning that the English translations of the birds are not generally always accepted. I know one of the guys in the prison where I'm a chaplain, he asked, why is a swan not kosher? What's not kosher about a swan? And I didn't have a good answer. And then I looked up and I realized King James says it's a swan. 1917 JPS says it's some kind of owl. This guy mentioned to me he loves owls. And of course Art Scroll just doesn't translate, just transliterates the names of the birds, because the birds that you're liable to read in the Bible, they ain't necessarily so. At least in your English Bible. Whatever the Torah says is the truth. We just don't know how to translate everything. So anyway, whatever, we know Orev is a species of bird that is cruel to its children. So why should they bring Elijah the prophet bread? You know, they're bringing in the dough. Valpi Devrenu Anal came Perusha. But according to our previous words, this is how we can interpret it. V'yeshev v'nachal, and he dwelt and he sat by the stream. Shemamshech hashpoes v'nachal olyai. He was bringing down the hashpoes. He was bringing down the influence, the blessings, which include both spiritual and material blessings, from the supernal stream. Darchei Orvim came a klipos l'troif teref hashpoes. So the way of the ravens, which represent the archetype of the klipos. Klipos means literally shells or husks or peels, and it's a term that's used in Kabbalah to refer to anything that is evil or unclean or materialistic or superficial. And the way of these klipos is litrov teref hashpoes, to snatch up whatever they can snatch up from the blessings that are drawn down from the stream by the saint. But if someone worships the Lord out of love, they will also agree and make peace with him. That if he's such a loving saint, they won't touch his blessings. They can't. They just love him so much. Everybody's so lovable. You know, the certain tzaddikim, everybody loved them, right? You know, there's such a holy level and a level of love that everybody would recognize. Someone from a different movement, someone from a different faith, would see that this is a saint and love them. And if there's someone who is coming from the side of evil, they see that it brings them to repent, and they can't sin, and they can't take away that blessing. That's what's hinted to, that the ravens brought him bread. But Zaloimer means to say that even the powers of impurity and evil wound up agreeing with Elijah. Baruch she'asa li nes b'makom hazeh. Blessed is the one who made a miracle for me in this place. This is where I hit the cow a few years ago. Unfortunately, my car is not carable anymore. So I'm driving my mom's car right now. So anyway, but that's because of something else. But anyway, not that he was supporting the evil, but that the evil was turned to good. So that's what it says. So anyone who rejoices and enjoys and delights in the Sabbath is given a heritage, but the word heritage is related to the word for a stream, canal, as we said above. To bring down the blessings and the influence and the downpouring of blessing from the stream of the letter Hey, the letter H, which represents a supernal archetype, Bli Mitzarim, without any borders, without anything to hold them back, without any limitations, meaning that there's no prosecution and nobody holding back from, if somebody is on that level of total, absolute love of God, then that's a constancy. So then the blessings that they draw down are untouchable. No demon, no devil, no Satan, no power of impurity can touch those blessings and remove them and take them away. So now we're back to what we said in Deuteronomy 26 verse 1, when you come into the land, Lashon Yachid, and in Hebrew, you could be singular or plural. Down south they say you all. But, and so that would be Lechem, right? But here, it's Kisavo, not Tavo, it's only when you come, only one, singular. Yachid, Dahainu, Kshiyu, Kol Yisrael Ba'achdus. That means that the entire community called Yisrael, not talking about the country Israel, talking about the archetype called Israel, is totally unified. Asher Hashem Elokecha, that the Lord thy God, or Tzolayim Hashem Kol Yisrael Yeshnei Habechinas, means to say that this archetype of the generality of the Israelites has two archetypes within it, Ahava V'Yira, as the archetype of love and the archetype of pious awe or fear. Hashem Hu Ahava, the Lord, the Tetragrammaton, is the archetype of love. Velokim Udin U'Yira, and the name God is the archetype of strict judgment, which is the archetype of fear, of piety, of awe. As Kshiu Kulam Achdus, so when they're unified, that it's a pious, awesome love, it will give you a heritage, and you will inhabit it. You'll conquer it. But Zoloimer means to say, Oz yeh nachol hey b'yadcha. Then the stream of the letter H will be in thy hand, in thy power, in thy dominion. Lahamshech hashpois kedusha bracha l'chol Yisrael, to bring down the blessings and the influence, the downpouring of blessings and holiness and sanctity and benediction to all Israel, and of course, that in thee will all the families of the earth be blessed, that it really brings blessings to the entire world. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. All right. We love you. We'll see you later. These bright lights are kind of loving. All right. We love you guys. We'll see you later. And let's try to be happy and positive and not hit any deer or any cows or anything else. All right. How do I turn this thing off? This one, right?